Joining us now, the one and only Zac Jackson from Chicago, ahead of the Browns preseason opener with the Bears. What's up, Zac?
Hi, guys. How we doing?
What up, man?
Nice room.
Thank you.
Look, he made his bed.
I'm here. We're ready to go.
He made his bed for the interview.
Housekeeping loves that.
Right, yeah.
They walk in like, give me a fresh towel. This dude's already made his bed.
Yeah. Easy
a
money.
successful person makes his bed every day before he or she does anything else. Thanks, Mom.
Or successful person's wife does that. Shout out to my wife.
Hey, however you want to parse it. All right, Zac, what are you looking for? You've been through so many of these first preseason games. What are you looking for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this one's different for a lot of reasons, right? Starting with the quarterbacks. We haven't seen a Todd Monken offense. We haven't seen this offensive line play against anyone else. And there's really intriguing rookies, both the guys we know, like the receivers and the left tackle that are going to be on the team, and guys that we don't know what their roles are going to be. So, obviously we're watching the quarterbacks closely. We're watching the whole operation. We're watching the special teams. You don't see much live special teams back at camp. And so he says all the starters are going to play. I have a hard time believing that's the case. I don't think they're going to play much if they do. So this is going to be about like Austin Barber, right? The third round tackle, and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, guys who are getting out there for the first time against another team. And so outside the quarterbacks, that's the stuff I'm watching.
Zac, when you look at it, you talk about guys who play or who may play and may not play. We haven't seen Mike Hall lately in practice. What's his status for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, he's definitely not playing. Schwessinger's definitely not playing. We haven't seen those guys at practice for a long time. Cedric Tillman did not practice on Wednesday, and that would be a setback to him. He's definitely on the wrong side of the bubble right now. So I don't know the situation there. If I was in charge, I wouldn't play Ward or Campbell or Judkins or Verse, right? Or Delpit. Let's just be serious here. So Elton Jenkins also didn't practice. And that's interesting because the backup center certainly will not play. He has not practiced a week and a half. Parker Brailsford has a thumb injury. So the center competition is over as long as Elton Jenkins is healthy. And I think it's just injury management for him. He's out on the practice field walking around. But the offensive line battle has kind of gotten dismissed for two reasons. One, obviously being the quarterback, and two, what do we really know watching in practice? We have to watch them against another team, even though the Bears aren't going to play many starters.
Zac, I look at it and, we talked about Deshaun Watson earlier. I said I was I woke up intrigued because if I look back, I'm trying to go back into my Rolodex, and Deshaun Watson has played so little football for the Cleveland Browns. There is no nostalgia. There is no oh, I remember he did. It's just like a blank. So it's almost like seeing a player for the first time play a little bit, because it's been so long from the first to the second time he played, and he's been off for so long. Do you kind of feel the same way, your expectations on Deshaun Watson? Because I don't know. I can't go back in my mind and think about what he used to be because it was so little games.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the preseason game where they lit up the Chiefs 3s and 4s a couple of years ago. But Garrett, the actual correlation is that he's missed all this time before. He hasn't taken a live snap in 22 months, so that's hard. So it's not only how's he going to manage the huddle, but how's he going to manage his own adrenaline and all of that stuff. He's healthy. He's waited on this opportunity. He said he thought it would come, even though most of us didn't. And we all know it makes no sense that it's coming. So how is he going to handle it? And then he's going to be out there with guys that he's never played with before. And that includes probably some line combinations and receiver combinations that he's maybe had with a little time. So the only thing that's surprising to me about him starting is the plan to play him a whole half. But they think he needs to play. And look, even if he wasn't leading right now or wasn't chosen, he needs to play if he's in the plans at all, because he hasn't played in so long. And you're right. The correlation you can draw is the rust has lasted, and it's been oh man, he needs to play, and he's just never really gotten the speed here with the Browns.
Zac, I know we always say that, the preseason games are going to have the most weight in making this decision. In your mind, is there a leader in the clubhouse coming into the preseason games?
There is. Deshaun Watson is the leader to me, and I don't think it's a significant lead. I certainly don't think it's an insurmountable lead, but just based on what I've seen for the last week and a half, I believe he has outplayed Shedeur Sanders, and I believe that matches up with the plan that they always wanted to play Deshaun Watson. So if your team is in a situation, and all 32 teams approach the preseason differently, but Todd Monken feels his team is in the spot where it has to play starters and has to see guys in live reps. So to do that, I think you would play the guy that you think is probably going to be your opening day starter. So all of that said, I want to stress that it's not over. It's not a significant difference. And I do think the most important days are the next 8 days: game, practices, joint practice, another game. But to me, based on the last 7 or 8 practices, Deshaun Watson's in the lead and has a chance, obviously, to extend that in my eyes. But it's Todd Monken's call, or at least we think it's Todd Monken's call. So we'll see how it goes.
Would you agree with the theory that if all things are equal, that Shedeur wins ties, doesn't he? Just because this team is better positioned moving forward, trying to see what you have with him, other than going with what we already know.
I agree with that in any bit of logical thinking, Jay, and I agree that there is no logic to playing Deshaun Watson ever.
Right.
But I actually look at this in a different light. I actually thought that Shedeur had to come win the job in August. Like, I thought they've wanted to play Deshaun Watson, and I heard enough whispers, even though nobody backed it up with one logical thought as to why it was a good idea to play him. And to this point, Shedeur has not won the job. So tomorrow and Tuesday and Thursday and next Saturday, can he do that? Yes. But to me, if Shedeur had to actually go win it, and if it was, taking away the very logical thought that a tie should go to the young player who's under contract, who has upside, that he has just not gone out and flat out outplayed him, not by any stretch.
Zach, one of the things I will be looking for tomorrow afternoon is, that second pass catching tight end. We know Joe Royer was drafted to be that guy. All we've been told is he's out for personal reasons. But from a football standpoint, he's missed all of the install. Yeah. And at this point, quite frankly, I think he's so far behind. I'm not sure what type of impact he could have when he gets back. I know the Browns brought in the tight end the other day. Talk about that position and where we are with that a little bit.
It's in a bad spot, Earl, because you have Harold Fannin, and I think you wanted at least one other guy to develop, because you're not going to play Fannin like 60 snaps a game with his hand in the ground. You want to move him around, right? You want to utilize him in different ways and utilize different formations. So right now it's Harold Fannin and a bunch of guys, and I don't know that any of those guys are NFL players from what I've seen. So Carson Ryan is really struggling in his transition to fullback. I mean, he's a 7th-round rookie. He's only been in camp a couple of weeks. We'll see how it goes. But none of the other guys have stood out. So, on experience right now, Jack Stahl would make the team, and either Blake Whiteheart or Brendan Bates would make the team. But these are big snaps for the preseason, and you can add tight end to the list of cornerback and rusher of areas they're going to continue to explore, over the next few weeks, if any opportunities present themselves. The first preseason game gives guys chances, and it totally changes the evaluation of the coaches once you get back. But right now, I don't know it. There just isn't a second tight end on this team.
Let me drill down on that really quickly, Zach. If you take a look at it, you said you believe that Deshaun Watson is ahead of Shedeur Sanders. For me, there was a point in practice where there was an alarming amount of interceptions from Deshaun Watson. Do you believe that if he is in the league, as you say, is there an opportunity where he could lose that lead based on his play within the next couple of days, especially tomorrow?
Sure. I think the most important days are ahead, and that's the key part of the answer. But he was so bad, Garrett, the first 4 or 5 practices, and then he turned it around. It's only been probably 1 or 2 days where he's consistently strung them together. But in the move the ball periods, he's been consistently better. He's thrown it better, and he has cut down on the interceptions. So it's not over. It's not a significant lead. But I think to anybody that's watched recent practices, I think Deshaun Watson overall has been better. What are they really judging on? What did they really have in mind? And what will happen here these next 8 days? We don't know. But I was zero surprised to hear that Deshaun Watson was going to get the nod here. And I think that is a tell on where it stands right now. It's not a tell on where it's going to go. But I think that was both by design and a tell on where it is.
Before we let you go, Zach, every year, most teams in the NFL see a veteran name hit the cut list when we pare it down to 53. Is there a guy on this team, a veteran, that most fans rather think is going to be okay, that may not be? And if so, who is that?
I don't think so, because I think everybody saw the writing on the wall for Tillman. I still don't know what's going to happen with the O-line, Jay, but they're so thin and guys have been so banged up on defense that they couldn't afford to get rid of any experience because they barely have any healthy, right? At any spot except safety. So this is subject to change because there are some young guys who are going to get chances. But Tevin Jenkins missed like a week plus of practice and he's come back. He's the starter at right guard right now. Zinter's not really a veteran. Like he's never really played. It hasn't happened. He's not going to make this team unless more guys get hurt. So yeah, said Tillman and Zinter and Luke Whippler on the wrong side of the bubble. But right now, Luke Whippler's the number 2 center and he might be the starter tomorrow. So we have to see how this plays out, but I don't think so. I think they're more in the acquisition mode than in the getting rid of mode. However, a lot can change and they're not going to be the only team searching for corner help and edge rush help and tight end help. So, the moves you have to make if you really want to make a significant move for a real contributor this year, it could involve someone else. But right now, they're so thin at most spots, just based on availability, let alone talent, that they're no position to give anybody away.
All right. Hey, Zach, thanks. Enjoy the preseason game. We'll see you next week.
I'll see you guys Monday.
All right.
Zac Jackson joining us from Chicago ahead of the Bears-Browns preseason game scheduled for tomorrow night. All right, guys, we talked about the Guardians in the first hour of the program.